What's going on, Lions fans? 2 weeks in a row, we get to talk a Detroit Lions dub. End of preseason. Let's carry this momentum into the regular season. 15 days from now, we take on the Rams. Preseason is wrapped up. Real quick, before I get into the game recap and the details and my opinions on things, I got to give a shout out to that Ford Field crowd, man. I was not at the game. I had to work today, unfortunately. Gave the tickets to my cousin. He said that it was an absolute crazy environment for a preseason game. That was absolutely amazing to hear. I could tell by just watching it on TV, or my iPad, I should say, that it was. You could tell that the crowd was into it from the get-go. We were all hungry for Detroit Lions football. Home game, first home game of the season, preseason game. 51,976 fans sold out. I heard they were selling standing room only tickets for the Detroit Lions today. That is absolutely crazy. A couple years ago, I remember going to a preseason game and they played the New England Patriots, and there was maybe 600 people in the crowd. It was not a very lively crowd. And we sat in the lower bowl and kind of just inched our way closer and closer as the game went on, because we realized absolutely hardly anyone's in this section. So it was awesome to see, going from that to this, seeing the team perform well, putting asses in the seats, man. It's fun to see. And you guys caused some penalties today too. Some of those false starts late in the game, that was due to crowd noise, man. It was pretty awesome to see. So shout out to you guys if you went to the game. Hope everyone had a good time. I was a little surprised by a couple things today. Mainly that I wasn't surprised that Hendon Hooker started. I predicted that earlier in the week. I said I hope he got some reps as a starter to get his kind of mind in a starter's mentality compared to sitting around for a half of football and coming into the second half. I thought that was a important piece, as just in case, so that he could have a routine, something to build off of. If something happens to Jared Goff and Hooker has to come into the game, he can have that starter's mindset. I don't know if it makes that big of a difference. It's just kind of something I wanted to see. His warm-up, his routine, kind of doing it before the game instead of halfway through the second or even at halftime, getting warmed up and ready to come in. So I was surprised that the surprise with Hendon Hooker was that he came out and played pretty much the whole third quarter as well. I was pretty active on Twitter today, or X, whatever the hell you guys want to call it. I call it Twitter. It'll always be Twitter till the day I die. I saw some people saying that they thought that Hendon Hooker struggled. And when I sit back and I look at it, and luckily, like I said, I was at work, so I had a little time. Once the game was over, I got to go back and watch some of the game a little bit more. I haven't fully dove into a lot of things, but focusing on Hendon Hooker, I don't like the word struggle, because from what I saw, the only people who struggled was that offensive line. For what Hendon was working with, the time he had, I thought he did a phenomenal job. Now, look, he had an interception. He had a fumble. I truly believe I'm firm but fair when it comes to my football critiques. You could be my favorite player or my least favorite player. I'm going to give you credit when credit's due. So I'm taking this as kind of a learning curve. When we're talking about the fumble that he had, it was on a attempt that he was getting ready to pass the ball. It's not like he was careless with the football. It happens. Okay, it sucks. Let's get that out of the way in the preseason. Maybe just work on that internal clock just a tad bit more. And on the interception, it was pretty clear. And the broadcast, if you guys were at the game and you couldn't hear it, Golden Tate was even calling it out, that Isaiah Williams, his only knock on the day for me was that he stopped running that route. If he had kept running, the ball would have hit him perfectly in stride. It happens. It goes down as an interception. Unfortunately, it had to go to that scumbag Cam Sutton, alleged woman beater, but you guys know how I feel about that. I have to throw in the word alleged because investigation's still ongoing. So Cam Sutton, enjoy your one interception. Last game for you for 8 weeks, I think. So drink it all in, I guess. But going back to Hendon Hooker, man, I don't like the word struggle. I don't like that people were saying, oh, Hendon's out there struggling. It was our backup offensive line against the Steelers starting defense for at least the first quarter. And then they kind of slowly started to trickle some guys out and get their backups in. But given that information and knowing that the Detroit Lions don't have a massive strength on the second string offensive line, I thought Colby Swordsdahl played not very good today. I thought Giovanni Manu didn't play very good today. Given all that, Hendon Hooker, I thought he played okay. It wasn't as clean of a game. It wasn't as sexy as last week against the Kansas City Chiefs, but he still ran for, I think, 93 yards. And when he had time, The only thing I'll say that it's 2 weeks in a row now. He missed an easy pass out in the flat. This week was to, I believe it was Shane Zylstra. He kind of missed a pass there. And last week, I can't remember who it was. Me and Will kind of talked about it. It was the first pass of the game. And we're like, oh, God, we wish we would have got that one. It was wide open. Missed another one of those same passes. And I'm not panicking, not worried. That's really my only knock when it comes to the passing game. When it came to how he actually threw the football, was just missing that one pass. And I know he had other incompletions, but it's football, all right? You're not going to go 100% every week, but we got to hit those ones that are gimmies. We got to hit those ones where you can give the ball to your receiver, your playmakers, and give them plenty of room. But when he actually had time and he got to actually throw the football, I thought he was pretty good today. I would give him probably if I had to put a grade on it, I would probably say a B leading towards a B plus. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't great, but I think it was pretty good. He even threw the deep ball pretty good to, I think it was Derice Fountain, if I'm not mistaken. Late in the game, he kind of wound up and we saw it coming. Like, okay, we're about to heave one here finally. He hit Fountain. I'm pretty sure it was Fountain. I could be wrong on who it was, but he hit him right in the hands and he just kind of dropped it. Put the ball in the right spot, though. I mean, receiver should have came down with it, I thought, but it didn't happen. So we got to see a lot from Hendon Hooker today. And that's kind of why I'm really focusing on just him, because the game itself was meaningless. I mean, it's preseason. You guys know the deal. This is kind of guys just going out auditioning either for the Detroit Lions or for other teams. And I'm going to get into that right about now, because there was something I noticed, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. We didn't see Nate Sudfeld today. And I thought we would at least see him for a quarter. Again, I had an idea that Hendon Hooker would start the game, and then I thought the second half would consist of Jake Fromm and Nate Sudfeld. So here's my question, and I'm very open to opinions on this because I truly don't know what it means. I usually am pretty good at reading, like picking up the breadcrumbs and seeing the clues that Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell are leaving. But with this one, I'm not 100% sure what it meant that Nate Sudfeld didn't play. It could mean one of two things. Either Dan Campbell told Nate Sudfeld, "Hey, you're good. You've made the team. You're on the roster. Whether it's QB2 or QB3, I don't know. But I think maybe he could have told him, you're good. We don't need to see you this week. You're on the team." Or the third option is, hey, we know Hendon Hooker is quarterback 2. We're going to give Jake Fromm a look, and we're going to see if he's going to be quarterback 3. But I don't think that's the way to go because of how Dan Campbell conducts himself as a coach. I feel like if he was going to cut Nate Sudfeld and that decision was already made, that he would have gave Nate Sudfeld some reps today and give himself a chance to audition for some other teams. I think Dan Campbell's a professional and he's a stand-up guy, and I think that's what he would do. So I'm really, really open to opinions, and I want to hear what you guys have to say when it comes to the Nate Sudfeld situation. Did Dan tell him he made the team, or did he tell him he got cut? I'm not sure. You guys leave it in the comments and let me know what you think. And again, when it comes to struggles, the only two players that really stood out to me today were it was really Giovanni Manu. I thought he had a little bit of a rough day. He struggled. He had some penalties. He gave up some pressures. I'm pretty sure he gave up a sack. That first quarter was absolutely atrocious, especially for our offensive line. Hendon Hooker really didn't have a whole lot of time. You can tell when there's not a lot of time, when Hendon Hooker doesn't even make an attempt to get out of the pocket. It just collapses so fast that he just kind of has to fold and take the sack. He did the right thing. Didn't try to force anything. Just kind of, hey, take the sack, go down, live to play another down. Listen, I know this is a project year for Giovanni Manu, so I'm not concerned. But I wanted to see, like I told you guys in the pregame show, I wanted to send him off in 2024 on a high note, knowing that we don't have to see him this year in a good way. Work on yourself, work on your game, develop, take gradual steps throughout the season and practices, and we'll see you in 2025. So I just wanted to end Giovanni Manu's season on a high note, if that makes sense. And I mean that in a good way. I wanted him to have a good game, send you off into the sunset for a year. We'll come back next offseason. We'll see how you've developed. That's kind of what my mindset was with Manu. So I was a little disappointed in his play today. And the offensive line as a whole, especially that first quarter, not great, not good. Didn't really impress me. I tooted their horn, talked them up last week. I thought they kind of let me down, took a step back. Whether we have to grade that on a curve because the Steelers had their starters in for most of the game and we were playing backups. I do take that into effect. So I kind of give them a little bit of a break, but I can't see you guys giving up 4 sacks in a game, especially 3 in the first quarter. I thought that was absolutely atrocious. But guys, Preseason's over. All right. We have 15 days until we take on the Rams. I can't wait to get into some more meaningful game day shows, some more in-depth stuff, some more breakdowns, some more. I'm trying to find a way to do some more filmed that I can give you guys to show you guys some more visual aids instead of just listening to me talk. But it is greatly appreciated if you stick around, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment, let me know what you think about that Nate Sudfeld situation, guys, and I will be back later with another show.